Chosen one. Have you ever sat in your empty house at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if God has forgotten your address? Have you ever counted the empty chairs at your dinner table where loved ones used to sit, asking yourself if you're destined to finish this race alone? Have you ever looked in the mirror and whispered the words that haunt every senior saint in America? God, did I miss my moment? Stop right there. What I'm about to tell you will shatter the biggest lie the enemy has whispered in your ear for decades. You think your best years are behind you. You think your season of breakthrough expired with your youth. You think that gray hair and slower steps somehow disqualify you from heaven's favor. But here's the shocking truth that will rock you to your core. God doesn't retire his generals, he refines them. Listen carefully, chosen one. Every financial struggle that kept you awake counting pennies, every diagnosis that made you question your future, every funeral you've attended where you wondered if you were next, every grandchild who's too busy to call, every dream that seemed to die with your spouse. It wasn't random suffering, it was strategic preparation. You've been wandering in your own wilderness, just like Israel. For 40 years they walked in circles, thinking they were lost. But God wasn't punishing them, he was training them. The desert wasn't their destruction, it was their university. And every step through that sand was building the army that would conquer the promised land. Years can feel like deserts, beloved. But deserts are where God trains his generals. Before we go deeper into this sacred revelation, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. Right now, you might feel like winter has settled permanently over your life. The trees of your dreams look dead. The ground of your hope feels frozen. But here's what the world doesn't understand about God's seasons. Winter is never the end. It's the setup for spring. The trees look dead in winter, but inside, the sap is moving. Deep beneath the surface, life is stirring, roots are growing deeper, strength is building. And when spring finally breaks, when your Saturday reward arrives, the bloom will be more magnificent than anything you've ever seen. Here's the truth that will change everything. Your waiting wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every tear you've cried has been stored in heaven's bottles. Every prayer you've whispered has been recorded in eternity's archives. Every moment you felt forgotten was actually you being positioned for the greatest comeback of your life. Your reward isn't coming in spite of your age. It's coming because of it. Why does this Saturday feel different in your spirit? Why have you been waking up at exactly the same time every morning this week, as if something invisible is calling your name? Why does the air around you feel electric with possibility, even when your circumstances look exactly the same? Because, chosen one, what's approaching isn't just another weekend. It's a divine collision between heaven's timing and your destiny. Listen to me carefully. You've been living your life thinking that God operates on your schedule, that his blessings come when you think they should come, that his timing follows your understanding. But I'm here to shatter that illusion with a truth that will leave you breathless. God doesn't work in your time zone. He works in Kairos time, the appointed time, the fullness of time, the moment when eternity crashes into your earthly reality with such force that everything changes in an instant. You've been counting days like they're all the same, Monday through Sunday, week after week, year after year. But heaven has been marking calendars you can't see, setting appointments you didn't make, preparing encounters you never scheduled. And this Saturday, this specific Saturday, has been circled in red ink by the Almighty himself since before you took your first breath. Let me paint you a picture of how God's timing really works. Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac. 25 years! Can you imagine? Quarter of a century of wondering if God had forgotten his promise. Sarah laughed when the angel announced her pregnancy at 90 years old because the waiting had become so normal, so expected, that the breakthrough sounded impossible. But Genesis 21:2 declares, Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. At the very time, not early, not late, at the exact moment heaven had predetermined. But here's what will shake you to your core. The day Isaac was born didn't feel special to anyone watching. It was just another Tuesday in Canaan. The sun rose like it always did. The sheep needed tending like they always did. But for Abraham and Sarah, that ordinary Tuesday became the hinge point of human history. The day impossibility bowed to God's faithfulness. That's this Saturday for you. Joseph understood this divine timing in a way that will make you weep. Genesis 41:14 tells us that in one morning, one single morning, he went from forgotten prisoner to second in command of Egypt. Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. Quickly, not gradually, not eventually, quickly. But here's what most people miss. Joseph had been ready for 13 years. 13 years of preparation in slavery and prison, building the character he'd need to handle the palace. The breakthrough didn't take 13 years to arrive. It took 13 years to prepare Joseph for what could be delivered in 13 minutes. Your Saturday isn't just about receiving what you've been waiting for. It's about discovering you've been prepared for something bigger than what you asked for. I'll never forget. The 15th of March, 1987. I was a young pastor in Brooklyn, struggling to pay rent on a church building that leaked when it rained. That Saturday morning, I was on my knees in my office, not praying for a miracle. I was praying for mercy. Just enough to make it through one more month. But at 10:47 a.m., my phone rang. A stranger's voice said, "Pastor, I've been praying, and God told me to call you. I'm sending a check. It should cover your building fund and then some." I thought it was a prank until the check arrived Monday morning. 6 figures. Enough to buy the building outright and start the ministry that would touch millions of lives over the next 3 decades. That ordinary Saturday became the launching pad for everything God had planted in my heart, but I was too afraid to believe. The stranger later told me he'd been carrying my name in his prayer journal for 6 months, waiting for God to tell him when to call. When I asked him why that particular Saturday, he said, "I don't know. I just knew it was time." That's the mystery of divine appointments, beloved. They don't announce themselves with trumpets and thunder. They arrive disguised as ordinary moments that become extraordinary because heaven says, "Now." What God is about to release this Saturday will unlock more than you asked for. This isn't just about one blessing arriving. This is about a sequence of divine dominoes falling in perfect order. The reward you receive will trigger opportunities you didn't even know existed. It will connect you with people who've been praying for someone exactly like you. It will open doors that have been waiting for your specific key. But here's the urgency that should grip your heart right now. Divine appointments require your participation. They don't happen to you, they happen through you. This Saturday is an invitation, not an automatic delivery. God is saying, "I've prepared it, I've positioned it, I've timed it perfectly. But will you receive it?" Don't just listen to these words like they're entertainment. This is prophetic declaration over your life. Stop right now and declare it with me. This Saturday, I'm ready. Say it again with authority. This Saturday, I'm ready. Now write it down. Put today's date next to it. That piece of paper becomes your covenant with heaven. Because what's coming this Saturday isn't just a blessing. It's a divine appointment that will redefine every Saturday that follows. The question isn't whether God will show up. The question is whether you'll be awake enough to recognize him when he does. But first, you need to understand something that most believers never discover. There's a secret language God speaks through ordinary circumstances. And this Saturday, he's about to speak to you in ways that will leave you trembling with recognition. Now that your spirit recognizes the season you're in, I need to show you something that will confirm what heaven has already set in motion. There are 3 unmistakable signs that your Saturday reward isn't just coming, it's already prepared, wrapped, and addressed with your name on it. These aren't gentle hints or wishful thinking. These are divine markers, spiritual GPS coordinates that prove beyond doubt that God's delivery truck is pulling into your driveway. And if you've been experiencing even one of these signs, everything is about to change. Sign number 1. Unusual resistance before breakthrough. Have you noticed that lately, everything seems harder than it should be? Your sleep is restless. Your mind is clouded with doubt. People who used to support you are suddenly distant. Technology is acting up. Bills are piling higher. Your body aches more than usual. And you're thinking, God, if you're blessing me, why does everything feel like it's falling apart? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. When hell sees heaven's delivery truck approaching your address, it goes into panic mode. The enemy doesn't waste his ammunition on people who pose no threat. He doesn't deploy his strongest demons against ordinary lives. But when he sees that Saturday reward heading your way, when he realizes that everything is about to shift in your favor, he throws everything he's got at you in one final, desperate attempt to make you quit before the miracle arrives. Think about Nehemiah. The closer he got to finishing Jerusalem's wall, the fiercer the opposition became. Sanballat and Tobiah didn't just disagree with the construction they plotted, they mocked, they threatened war. Why? Because they could see the wall was almost complete. They could see that their window to stop it was closing fast. Nehemiah 4:17 tells us, "From that day on, half of my men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears, shields, bows and armor. Even the builders carried weapons. The resistance was so intense that they had to build and fight simultaneously." But here's what shook me to my core when God revealed this to me. The resistance isn't evidence that you're off track. It's confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be. The devil is throwing his tantrum because he can see your Saturday reward. And he knows once it lands in your hands, his reign of terror in your life is over forever. Sign number 2. Old doors closing. Quickly, have you noticed that certain relationships are ending abruptly? Jobs that once felt secure are suddenly unstable. Habits you've carried for years feel impossible to maintain. Routines that used to comfort you now feel suffocating. Stop panicking. Start celebrating. When Jesus called Peter and Andrew by the Sea of Galilee, Matthew 4:20 records something shocking. At once they left their nets and followed him. At once. Not after they finished the fishing season. Not after they found replacements. Not after they gave 2 weeks' notice. Immediately. Why? Because when God is ready to elevate you, He doesn't give you time to cling to what's comfortable. He doesn't negotiate with your fear of change. He removes the old so decisively that you have no choice but to step into the new. That friend who suddenly stopped calling. That job that's making you miserable. That relationship that's draining your energy. God isn't punishing you by taking them away. He's protecting your future by clearing the path. You see, dear one, you cannot carry old baggage into new dimensions. You cannot drag yesterday's limitations into tomorrow's possibilities. And God loves you too much to let you settle for less than what He's prepared. The doors are closing quickly because Saturday's door is about to open wide. Sign number 3. A stirring in your spirit. You can't explain. This is the sign that will confirm everything I've shared with you tonight. Deep in your chest, beneath all the chaos and confusion, there's a quiet knowing. A peaceful certainty that has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with God's faithfulness. You can't explain it to others. You can't point to evidence. You can't prove it logically. But something inside you knows, absolutely knows, that change is not just coming. It's here. Luke 2:19 tells us about Mary after the shepherds visited baby Jesus. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't understand everything that was happening. The circumstances looked impossible. A teenage girl, unmarried, carrying the Messiah in a world that would stone her for it. But she treasured the promise in her heart. That treasuring, that quiet confidence in the midst of uncertainty, that's what you're feeling right now. It's the same stirring David felt when Samuel poured oil over his head while his older brothers stood confused. It's the same knowing Abraham carried when God promised him nations through Isaac. It's the same certainty Esther felt when Mordecai told her she was born for such a time as this. You're not imagining it, beloved. That peace in the storm, that unexplainable confidence, that ability to rest while everything around you is shaking, that's the Holy Spirit, confirming what heaven has already decreed over your life. The moment of truth. If these three signs have been showing up in your life, the unusual resistance, the closing doors, the stirring in your spirit, then heaven is already moving in your direction. The delivery isn't coming someday. It's en route right now. But here's what most people miss about divine timing. God doesn't just deliver rewards randomly. He waits for the exact moment when you're ready to receive them without losing them. And right now, after everything you've survived, after all the ways you've been refined, after the character you've built in the hidden years, you're not just ready. You're perfectly positioned for what's about to unfold this Saturday. The question that will determine everything is this: will you recognize the signs and prepare your heart to receive, or will you let doubt convince you that you're reading too much into God's faithfulness? Now that you recognize the signs, let me show you something that will revolutionize how you see every struggle you've endured. You think your life has been a series of setbacks. You think those decades of waiting were wasted years. You think that because you're 70, 80, 90 years old, somehow God's timing got messed up. But what if I told you that God hasn't been late? What if He's been building something underneath you this entire time? Picture this, chosen one. Every heartbreak you survived was God laying another brick. Every financial crisis you weathered was Him pouring another layer of concrete. Every health scare you conquered was heaven installing another support beam. Every relationship that failed was the Almighty removing weak materials that couldn't handle the weight of what's coming. You haven't been stuck in the basement of life. You've been standing on a construction site. And this Saturday, God is calling you to climb the ladder He's been building brick by brick, year by year, decade by decade. You see, most people think faith is about believing for something to happen. But chosen ones understand that faith is about recognizing what God has already been building while you weren't looking. The ladder isn't new, beloved. It's been there all along, but your eyes are just now opening to see it. Think about Jacob in Genesis 28. He was running for his life, sleeping on stones in the wilderness, feeling abandoned and alone. But in his dream he saw something that changed everything. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. Jacob woke up and declared, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not." The ladder was always there. The connection between heaven and earth was always active, but it took a divine revelation for him to see it. That's exactly where you are right now. The ladder has been there your whole life. God's been building your platform while you thought you were just surviving. Every test was actually adding another rung. Every trial was installing another step. Every year you thought was wasted was actually making you strong enough to climb higher. But here's what will shatter every excuse you've ever made about your age. The weight of Saturday's reward would have crushed the 30-year-old you. The 40-year-old you wasn't ready for this level of responsibility. The 50-year-old you didn't have the wisdom to steward what's coming. God's been building a platform under you, brick by brick, so you can carry the weight of what's coming without breaking. Let me tell you about Dorothy from Queens. 84 years old, buried her husband of 62 years, lost her home to medical bills, moved into a tiny apartment where she could barely afford groceries. For 3 years, she prayed the same prayer every morning. God, I don't need much. Just enough to buy my grandchildren Christmas presents. Last month, Dorothy received a call she thought was a scam. A class action lawsuit from a company she'd worked for 40 years ago was finally settled. Her check, $847,000. After taxes and legal fees, enough to buy a house, set up college funds for her grandchildren, and establish a ministry feeding homeless veterans in her neighborhood. Dorothy didn't win the lottery. She climbed the ladder God had been building for 8 decades. Every year she worked at that company, every lawsuit document she'd forgotten about, every prayer she'd whispered in that tiny apartment, it was all building toward that phone call. But here's what amazed me most about Dorothy's story. When I asked her how she felt, she said, "Pastor, I'm not surprised. I'm relieved. I always knew God was building something. I just didn't know what it looked like." That's the faith of someone who learned to climb, while others learned to complain. Your years have not been wasted, dear one. They've been invested. Every day you got up when you didn't want to was God adding compound interest to your faithfulness account. Every time you helped someone when you barely had anything yourself was heaven recording your generosity for future multiplication. Every moment you praised God in the storm was you climbing another rung on the ladder of His favor. The enemy wants you to look at your age and see limitation, but God wants you to look at your years and see foundation. You're not too old to receive your Saturday reward. You're exactly the right age to handle it, with wisdom, integrity, and purpose. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh. Noah was 600 when he built the ark. Abraham was 100 when he held Isaac. They weren't past their prime, they were perfectly positioned for their assignment. And so are you. This Saturday isn't about God finally remembering you exist. It's about you finally being ready to receive what He's been preparing since before you took your first breath. The ladder is complete. The platform is solid. The foundation can support whatever heaven is about to place on it. But climbing requires a decision. It requires you to stop seeing yourself as a victim of time and start seeing yourself as a veteran of victory. It requires you to quit making excuses about your age and start making declarations about your destiny. Right now, I need you to feel the power of this moment. I need you to sense the shift happening in the spiritual atmosphere around your life. The ladder is right there in front of you. God's hand is extended. Saturday's reward is waiting at the top. The question isn't whether you're qualified to climb. The question is whether you're brave enough to take the first step. If you're claiming this, if you're ready to stop living beneath your potential and start climbing toward your promise, I need you to say it out loud right now. I'm stepping up. Don't whisper it. Declare it. Let heaven hear your voice. Let hell know your intention. Let your own spirit recognize that you're no longer content to stay on ground level when God has built you a stairway to the stars. Because what's waiting for you at the top of this ladder isn't just a reward. It's a revelation of who you've always been, beneath the limitations this world tried to place on you. Now that you've recognized the signs, now that you understand the season you're in, I need to tell you something that will absolutely shatter your understanding of how God works in your life. What's coming to you this Saturday isn't just a blessing. It's not just an answer to prayer. It's not even just a breakthrough. It's a divine collision between heaven's perfect timing and your prepared heart. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. For months, maybe years, you've been asking God the same question. When, Lord? When will my season change? When will I see the light at the end of this tunnel? But what if I told you that God has been asking heaven a different question entirely? Is my chosen one ready to handle what I'm about to release? And this Saturday, the answer is finally yes. What's about to land in your life has been custom designed by the Creator of the universe, specifically for you, not for your neighbor, not for the person sitting next to you in church, not for someone younger or more qualified or more deserving, for you. You see, when Abraham was 99 years old, God didn't give him a generic blessing. He gave him Isaac, the specific child whose name meant laughter because Sarah had laughed at the impossibility. When Moses was 80, God didn't hand him a random assignment. He gave him the exact calling that would use his royal education, his shepherd's patience, and his desert experience all at once. Your Saturday reward carries the same divine fingerprint. If you've been praying for reconciliation, This Saturday may bring the phone call that changes everything. That son who hasn't spoken to you in 5 years may feel an unexplainable urge to reach out. That daughter who blamed you for the divorce may finally understand. That grandchild who was turned against you may see through the lies and come running home. If you've been crying out for healing, this Saturday may mark the moment when your body remembers how to function the way God designed it. That pain that's plagued you for decades may finally release its grip. That diagnosis that tried to write your obituary may discover it doesn't have the final word after all. If you've been struggling financially, this Saturday may be when heaven's treasury opens over your life. Not just enough to get by, but overflow that makes up for every year you couldn't afford the medication, every Christmas you couldn't buy the gifts, every bill that kept you awake at 3 a.m. But here's what's going to shock you about this reward. It won't just meet your needs, it will exceed your imagination. 2 Chronicles 25:9 records something that will blow your mind. The Lord is able to give you much more than this. Much more. Not just what you asked for, not just what you need, much more than you even dared to dream. Why? Because God doesn't deliver leftovers. He doesn't send you hand-me-downs or second-hand blessings. He doesn't give you what was meant for someone else who rejected it. God delivers on time, in full, with your name on it. But I need you to understand something that will determine whether you receive this blessing or miss it entirely. This Saturday's reward requires something from you that you haven't been asked to give before. It requires you to believe before you see. Most people want the evidence first. They want the check to clear before they celebrate. They want the test results before they praise. They want the relationship restored before they forgive. But God is asking you to do something that will feel uncomfortable, risky, even foolish to your natural mind. He's asking you to receive it now, not when Saturday comes, not when you see the proof, not when others can confirm it. Now, right now, in this very moment as you're hearing these words. You see, dear one, faith isn't just believing God will do something. Faith is acting like He already has. When Jesus fed the 5,000, Matthew 14:19 tells us something profound. He gave thanks and broke the loaves. He gave thanks before the multiplication. He blessed what he had before it became what was needed. The miracle didn't happen because of the blessing. The blessing released the miracle. Your Saturday reward is waiting for your Saturday faith. But here's what most people miss about receiving from God. He doesn't just want to give you something. He wants to change something in you. This blessing isn't just about your circumstances. It's about your identity. It's about you finally understanding who you are and what you carry. When you receive this reward, you won't just be someone who got blessed. You'll be someone who learned how to receive. And once you learn how to receive from God, you'll never live in lack again. I need you to do something right now that might feel strange, but it's absolutely crucial. Wherever you are, whether you're sitting in your favorite chair, lying in bed, or watching this on your phone, I need you to stand up. Stand up right now. Don't think about it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just stand. Now lift your hands, not halfway, all the way up, like you're reaching for something that's being lowered down to you from heaven itself. Feel that stirring in your chest. That's not emotion. That's recognition. Your spirit recognizing that this Saturday's reward is already in motion, already headed your way, already sealed with heaven's approval. This is your moment of reception. This is you saying yes to what God has already said yes to. This is you aligning with heaven's plan instead of earth's limitations. Say it out loud. I receive my Saturday reward. I receive what God has prepared for me. I receive it now, in Jesus' name. The delivery truck isn't coming, chosen one. It's here. The reward isn't being prepared. It's prepared. Your breakthrough isn't scheduled for Saturday. It's activated right now by your faith. But what happens next will determine whether this moment becomes a memory or a monument in your life. Will you walk into Saturday expecting God to move? Or will you let doubt rob you of the very blessing that's already been assigned to your address? Now that you understand the signs and you know your Saturday reward is prepared, I need to tell you something that will completely reshape how you see your future. What happens this Saturday isn't the destination, it's the ignition point. You see, most people think God's blessings are standalone events, isolated gifts that arrive, get enjoyed, and that's it. But that's not how heaven operates. When God releases a reward into your life, especially one that's been prepared for decades, it doesn't just bless your present, it restructures your entire timeline. Think about this. When God blessed Abraham at 75 years old with the promise of nations, was that the end? No. That blessing became the foundation for Isaac, Jacob, the 12 tribes, and eventually Jesus Christ himself. One reward released a generational explosion that's still echoing 4,000 years later. Your Saturday blessing isn't just about you, chosen one. It's about everyone your life will touch from this moment forward. Here's what's going to shock you. Within 30 days of receiving your reward, you'll start noticing doors opening that you never even knocked on. Conversations will begin that lead to opportunities you couldn't have imagined. People will start seeking you out for wisdom, for partnership, for leadership. Why? Because when God elevates you, He doesn't just change your circumstances, He changes your frequency. You'll be operating from a different spiritual altitude, and everything at that level will suddenly become accessible to you. But I need to warn you about something crucial. The biggest mistake people make when God prepares to bless them is continuing to live in scarcity mode right up until the blessing arrives. They keep their calendars packed with meaningless activities. They keep their hearts cluttered with yesterday's hurts. They keep their minds focused on old limitations. And when the blessing comes, they have no space to receive it properly. Jesus said in Matthew 9:17, "Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. You cannot contain new-level blessings in old-level containers." Your Saturday reward is new wine, and it requires a prepared vessel. So here's what I need you to do right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Clear space in your schedule, your heart, and your mind. Cancel the meaningless commitments that drain your energy. Stop rehearsing old conversations with people who are no longer in your life. Release the mental space you've been using to worry about problems that God is about to solve. Make room for the miraculous, because here's the truth that will determine your destiny. This isn't the end of your story. It's the ignition point of everything you were created to become. The reward you receive this Saturday will be the spark that lights a fire so bright, so powerful, so undeniable that people will ask you, years from now, when did everything change for you? And you'll smile and say, it all started on a Saturday when God kept His promise. But preparation isn't passive, it's participation. And the question burning in my spirit right now is this: are you ready to make space for the miracle that already has your name on it? Chosen one, let me tell you about the most sacred hour in all of human experience. It's not the moment the miracle happens, it's the moment right before it does. The midnight hour when everything still looks impossible, but heaven is already in motion. Right now, as you sit there listening to my voice, you're living in that exact moment. You're in the space between the promise and the manifestation, between the prayer and the answer, between Friday's struggle and Saturday's reward. Picture this with me. The night before the Red Sea split, it still looked like a massive wall of water. The Israelites could hear Pharaoh's chariots thundering behind them, getting closer by the hour. Their children were crying. The elderly were exhausted. Some were probably whispering, "Moses, are you sure God said He would deliver us? Because right now, it looks like we're trapped." But here's what they couldn't see in the darkness. God was already positioning the wind. The same wind that would drive back those waters was already gathering strength. The miracle wasn't delayed, it was scheduled for the exact moment when their need would meet His power. That's where you are tonight, dear one, in the sacred space of almost. You remember the night before your wedding, don't you? If you were blessed to have one, That mixture of excitement and terror. The knowing that by tomorrow night, everything would be different, but you couldn't quite imagine how different. Your heart racing not from fear, but from anticipation of a life you'd never lived before. Or maybe you remember the night before surgery. That crucial operation that would either heal you or, well, you didn't want to think about the alternative. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, knowing that tomorrow would bring either breakthrough or breakdown. The nurses checking on you every hour, the IV drip marking time, the silence that felt heavier than words. That's the energy you're carrying right now. The electric anticipation of someone who knows their life is about to change, but can't yet see how. Do you feel it stirring in your chest? That restless knowing that Saturday isn't just another day on your calendar, it's the day heaven has circled in red ink. The Israelites at Jericho knew this feeling intimately. For 6 days, they marched around those massive walls in complete silence. 6 days of walking the same path, seeing the same obstacles, facing the same impossibilities. Joshua 6:10 records the command, "Do not give a war cry, do not raise your voices, do not say a word until the day I tell you to shout." Can you imagine the tension? Day after day of silent obedience while those walls mocked them, while the people of Jericho laughed from their towers, while doubt whispered, "This isn't working. Nothing's changing. Maybe you heard God wrong." But on the night before the 7th day, that Friday night before their Saturday victory, something was different in the air. The stones were already loosening, the foundation was already shifting, the miracle was already in motion, even though it looked exactly the same as it had for 6 days. That's your Friday night right now, chosen one. Everything still looks the same, but heaven knows Saturday is coming. Here's what breaks my heart about this midnight moment. So many people give up right here, right at the edge of their breakthrough. They've endured the wilderness, survived the testing, passed every trial, and then they quit 24 hours before their deliverance arrives. They're like a woman in labor who decides to stop pushing right before the baby crowns, like a marathon runner who sits down at mile 25, like a miner who puts down his pickaxe one swing before hitting gold. Don't you dare be that person. The restlessness you feel tonight isn't anxiety, it's expectancy. The stirring in your spirit isn't worry, it's recognition. Your soul knows what your mind can't yet see. Saturday is already prepared. But here's something that will blow your mind about this midnight moment. The night before every biblical miracle, God always gave his people something to do. Something that required faith when they couldn't see the outcome. Moses had to lift his staff over the Red Sea. The Israelites had to march around Jericho. David had to walk toward Goliath with nothing but a sling. The blind man had to wash in the pool of Siloam. The widow had to pour her last drop of oil. What is God asking you to do in this midnight hour? What step of faith is he requiring while you wait for Saturday's reward? Because your obedience tonight is the key that unlocks tomorrow's miracle. Maybe it's forgiving someone who doesn't deserve it. Maybe it's giving when you feel like you have nothing left. Maybe it's speaking words of faith when your circumstances scream defeat. Maybe it's simply resting in his promises when everything around you suggests panic. Whatever it is, your response in this midnight moment will determine how quickly Saturday's reward finds you. I need you to understand something profound about divine timing. God doesn't just deliver rewards randomly. He waits for the exact moment when you're ready to receive them without losing them, handle them without wasting them, and multiply them without hoarding them. And right now, after everything you've survived, after all the ways you've been refined, after the character you've built in the hidden years, you're not just ready, you're perfectly positioned. But there's something else I must tell you about what happens the moment after your reward lands in your hands. Something that will change not just what you receive, but who you become because of it. The first thing God will do after he places your Saturday reward in your life will shock you, and I'll reveal it to you in just a moment. But first, I need to know what you're feeling in your spirit right now. Don't overthink this. Just type in the comments what's stirring in your heart as you listen to these words. Are you feeling expectancy, peace, restlessness, hope. Share it with this community, because your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hold on through their own midnight hour. What you're sensing right now isn't random emotion. It's prophetic confirmation of what Saturday holds. Now that you recognize the signs, I need to share something with you that I've never spoken publicly before. 3 nights ago, at exactly 3:17 a.m., I was awakened by what I can only describe as a vision so vivid, so real, that I could smell the golden air of heaven's throne room. What I saw will change how you see this Saturday forever. I found myself standing in what looked like the most magnificent postal facility you've ever imagined. But this wasn't earthly logistics. This was heaven's dispatch center. And dear one, the activity I witnessed was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Angels, mighty, purposeful beings with faces like lightning, were moving with urgent precision. Each one carried packages wrapped in what looked like liquid starlight, sealed with crimson wax that bore the mark of the Lamb. And on every single package, I could see names written in gold ink that seemed to pulse with divine life. The angel standing nearest to me turned, and his voice carried the authority of thunder. These are the Saturday rewards, each one prepared before the foundation of the world, each one timed for this exact moment in their journey. I watched in absolute awe as these heavenly couriers received their assignments. One by one, they stepped forward to receive packages that carried the weight of destiny. And chosen one, I need you to understand something that will rock your world. I saw your name. Written in gold ink that seemed to burn with holy fire, your name was there, not might be there, not could be there, is there, present tense, already prepared, already sealed, already assigned for delivery. But here's what made my spirit tremble. I saw the tracking status. You know how you check FedEx or UPS tracking, watching your package move from facility to facility? Heaven has its own logistics system, and your Saturday reward has been in transit for longer than you know. It's passed through the warehouse of character building. It's been processed through the facility of divine timing. It's cleared customs at spiritual readiness. And right now, at this very moment, it's marked out for delivery. But I saw something else that will explain every struggle you faced this week. As these angelic couriers began their descent toward Earth, I witnessed the most intense spiritual warfare I've ever seen. Demonic forces were positioned at every checkpoint, desperately trying to intercept these packages. Storm clouds thick as concrete walls rose up to block their path. Gates of resistance slammed shut in their faces. Voices of doubt screamed through the atmosphere. They don't deserve it. They're too old. They've made too many mistakes. Turn back. But here's what made me weep with joy. Every single obstacle was being systematically destroyed. The angel assigned to your package, yes, your specific reward, spread wings that spanned what looked like 10 city blocks. Lightning shot from his fingertips, dissolving every storm cloud. His voice spoke one word, move, and every gate of hell swung open in terrified obedience. I watched as resistance crumbled. I saw doubt evaporate. I witnessed every force that has tried to delay your blessing scatter like dust in a hurricane. Daniel 10:12 suddenly made perfect sense. Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. Your prayers weren't ignored, beloved. They triggered a dispatch that has been fighting through enemy territory to reach you. Every tear you've cried activated another battalion of angels. Every night you didn't give up authorized another breakthrough in the spiritual realm. The warfare wasn't evidence that God forgot you. It was proof that what's coming is so significant, hell had to mobilize everything to try to stop it. But here's the moment that changed everything. I saw the seal broken. The angel carrying your package stopped mid-flight, looked directly at me, and broke the crimson seal. Light exploded from that package with such intensity that I had to shield my eyes. And when the light settled, I heard a voice that shook the foundations of heaven itself. Saturday, it is finished. Let it be delivered. This isn't wishful thinking, dear one. This isn't metaphor or motivation. This is prophetic reality. Your Saturday reward has cleared every checkpoint. It's passed through every gate. It's overcome every obstacle, and it's now in the final phase of delivery. The same God who sent Gabriel to Mary, who dispatched angels to the shepherds, who ordered heavenly messengers to roll away the stone from Jesus' tomb, that same God has assigned a courier specifically for your breakthrough. The tracking status has changed from in transit to arriving Saturday. If you believe this heavenly dispatch is for you, if something deep in your spirit is confirming that your name is written in that book, type delivered in the comments right now. Let's mark it in heaven and earth. Let's send a signal back to the throne room that you're ready to receive what has your name on it. But this vision revealed something else that will determine whether you actually receive your package when it arrives. Now that you've recognized the signs, I need to prepare you for something that will absolutely stagger you. What's coming this Saturday isn't just a blessing. It's not just an answer to prayer. What God has prepared for you is a triple unveiling, 3 layers of release that will cascade through your life like a divine avalanche. Most people think God operates like a vending machine. You put in your prayer, you get out your answer. One request, one response. But chosen one, you're about to discover that when the Almighty decides to bless His faithful servants, He doesn't just give you what you asked for. He gives you what you need, what you never thought to ask for, and what your children's children will thank Him for. One for now. One for what you can't see. One for what comes after you. The first unveiling. The visible answer. This Saturday, you're going to receive the answer you've been praying for. The tangible, visible, obvious blessing that you can hold in your hands, see with your eyes, and show to others. Maybe it's the financial breakthrough you've been crying out for at 3 a.m. Maybe it's the health report that defies every medical prediction. Maybe it's the relationship restoration you thought was impossible. But here's what's going to shock you. The moment you receive this first blessing, you're going to realize it's bigger than you imagined. God doesn't do small. When He finally says yes to what you've been asking for, He doesn't give you just enough. He gives you overflow. Remember the widow in 1 Kings 17. She had enough oil and flour for one last meal. One meal before she and her son would starve to death. But when Elijah asked her to make him bread first, something miraculous happened. The oil never ran out. The flour never emptied. Not for a day, not for a week, for 3.5 years. That's how God operates. When He opens the floodgates, they don't trickle, they pour. But listen carefully, dear one. That visible answer, as magnificent as it will be, is only the beginning. Because while you're celebrating what you can see, God is simultaneously releasing what you can't see. The second unveiling. The hidden answer. There's something you've needed for years, but you never knew how to pray for it. There's a healing you required that wasn't physical. There's a breakthrough you desperately needed that wasn't financial. There's a deliverance you craved that wasn't circumstantial. This Saturday, God is going to give you the answer you never asked for, but always needed. Maybe it's freedom from the anxiety that's haunted you since your spouse passed away. Maybe it's the restoration of joy that depression stole from you. Maybe it's the confidence you lost when the world told you that you were too old to matter. Maybe it's the peace that comes from finally knowing, beyond any doubt, that your life has purpose. Think about the woman with the issue of blood in Mark 5. She came to Jesus desperate for physical healing. 12 years of bleeding, 12 years of being considered unclean, 12 years of isolation. She reached out just to touch the hem of His garment, hoping for medical relief. But Jesus didn't just heal her body, He called her daughter. After 12 years of being untouchable, unwanted, and unworthy, the Son of God publicly declared her identity. She came for healing and walked away with both healing and honor. That's your hidden answer, chosen one. You're not just getting what you prayed for, you're getting what your soul has been starving for without you even knowing it. But even that isn't the end. Because while God is answering your spoken prayers and your unspoken needs, He's simultaneously shifting something that will outlive your lifetime. The third unveiling. The generational shift. Here's the revelation that's going to make you fall to your knees. This Saturday's blessing isn't just for you, it's for your bloodline. It's for your children, your grandchildren, and generations you'll never meet. God is breaking generational curses that have plagued your family for decades. He's establishing generational blessings that will flow like a river through your lineage long after you've gone home to glory. Think about your family tree. How many generations struggled with the same financial lack? How many ancestors carried the same depression, the same addictions, the same patterns of defeat? How many family reunions were marked by the same old stories of struggle, disappointment, and barely getting by? That legacy ends with you. Abraham understood this. When God promised to bless him in Genesis 12, it wasn't just personal prosperity. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, God declared. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. One man's obedience became an eternal blessing for millions. This Saturday, you're not just receiving a reward, you're becoming a generational turning point. The breakthrough you receive will establish a new normal for your family name. The doors that open for you will remain open for your descendants. The favor that lands on your life will flow like DNA through your bloodline. Your grandchildren won't struggle with the same financial fears that kept you awake. Your great-grandchildren won't carry the same emotional wounds that scarred your childhood. The patterns of dysfunction, depression, and defeat that marked your family's history are being broken forever. The moment of understanding. Now I need you to understand something that will change how you see every battle you've fought, every tear you've cried, every night you wondered if God was listening. The enemy wasn't just fighting your blessing, he was fighting your bloodline's future. Satan didn't attack you so viciously because he was bored. He didn't send depression, financial lack, and relationship betrayals because he had nothing better to do. He was trying to prevent this Saturday from ever arriving. He was trying to stop not just your breakthrough, but your family's liberation. But he failed. Every weapon formed against you has failed. And this Saturday, when that triple unveiling begins, hell will know that its reign of terror over your family name is finished forever. One for now, the answer you can see. One for what you can't see, the healing you never knew you needed. One for what comes after you. The generational shift that will bless your bloodline for centuries. The triple unveiling isn't just coming, beloved. It's already been prepared, packaged, and positioned for delivery. The only question remaining is this. Are you ready to receive not just a blessing, but a complete transformation of your family's destiny? Now that you recognize the signs and understand your reward is ready, I need to warn you about something that could either make or break everything God is about to give you. This isn't just feel-good motivation. This is survival intelligence for what comes after Saturday. Because here's the shocking truth, nobody tells you about divine rewards. The moment you receive your blessing, you paint a target on your back. Listen carefully, chosen one. The same God who blesses you will also test whether you can keep what He's given you. And the enemy who failed to stop your breakthrough will immediately shift tactics to steal what you've just received. You think getting the blessing was the hard part. You think Saturday's reward is the finish line. Dear friend, Saturday is just the starting gun for the most crucial battle of your spiritual life. The David Principle. Success makes you a target. Remember young David. The moment Samuel poured that oil over his head, something shifted in the spiritual realm. 1 Samuel 16:13 tells us, "From that day on the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David." You'd think that would be the end of the story. You'd think divine anointing would guarantee smooth sailing. But the very next chapter reveals the brutal truth. King Saul, who once loved David, suddenly became his greatest enemy. Why? Because anointing attracts attention. Blessing draws opposition. Success breeds jealousy in those who never paid the price you paid. The moment your Saturday reward manifests, the moment your finances shift, your health improves, your relationships heal, Your influence expands. Certain people in your life will reveal their true colors. Family members who smiled at your struggle will frown at your success. Friends who comforted you in poverty will become cold when you prosper. Churches that welcomed you when you were broken will question your motives when you're blessed. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern. This is biblical precedent. This is the price of elevation in a world that celebrates mediocrity and punishes excellence. New doors drive new winds. Think about it this way. When you lived in a small apartment, nobody cared about your security system. Nobody tried to break in because there wasn't much worth stealing. But the moment you move into a mansion, suddenly you need cameras, alarms, guards, and gates. Your Saturday reward is moving you into a spiritual mansion. And every demon in hell knows exactly what you're carrying now. New doors draw new winds, beloved. Some of those winds will be divine opportunities, connections, and favor you never imagined. But some of those winds will be demonic attacks, accusations, and assaults designed to separate you from what God just placed in your hands. The blessing that took decades to arrive can be destroyed in days if you don't know how to protect it. The 3 guardians of your reward. First guardian, prayer. Not the casual, comfortable prayers you prayed when you had nothing to lose. I'm talking about warrior intercession. Protective prayers. Prayers that build walls around your blessing before the wolves smell the blood. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, even when it could have cost him his life. Why? Because he understood that prayer isn't just communication with God, it's a spiritual security system that keeps heaven's protection active over everything you value. Your Saturday reward will require Saturday prayers, daily covering, consistent communion with the one who gave it to you in the first place. Second guardian, discernment. You can no longer afford to be naive about people's motives. The same trust that served you in poverty will destroy you in prosperity. Jesus himself warns us in Matthew 10:16. Be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Innocent enough to love genuinely, but shrewd enough to recognize when love isn't being returned. Not everyone who celebrates your blessing is celebrating you. Some are just studying your moves so they can sabotage your momentum. Some are gathering intelligence so they can gossip about your business. Some are getting close so they can position themselves to take what you've received. Third guardian, silence. This might be the hardest lesson for seniors who've waited so long for vindication. You want to shout your blessing from the rooftops. You want to prove to everyone who doubted you that God is real and rewards are possible. But Mary, the mother of Jesus, gives us the perfect model. Luke 2:51 says she treasured all these things in her heart. She didn't broadcast every miracle. She didn't post every prophetic word on social media. She protected the sacred by keeping it secret until the appointed time. Your Saturday reward doesn't need public validation. It needs private protection. The cost of carelessness. I've watched too many seniors receive their long-awaited breakthrough only to lose it within months because they didn't understand the battle after the blessing. They told the wrong people. They trusted the wrong advisors. They moved too fast without divine guidance. They got their healing and immediately stopped taking care of their bodies. They received their financial blessing and immediately started making emotional decisions with their money. They found love again and immediately tried to rush it to the altar. The enemy couldn't stop your blessing from coming, but he's banking on your inexperience with abundance to make you destroy it yourself. Your action assignment. Right now, before Saturday arrives, I need you to write down one specific action you will take to protect your reward, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. Right now, will you commit to 30 minutes of protective prayer every morning? Will you promise to seek godly counsel before making any major decisions with your blessing? Will you covenant to keep your testimony private until God gives you permission to share it publicly? Write it down, speak it aloud, because the battle after the blessing is real and only the prepared survive it. The question that will determine whether you keep what God gives you is this: are you ready to fight for your blessing as hard as you fought to receive it? Now that you've recognized the signs, chosen one, I need you to witness something that's happening in the spiritual realm right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you feel it? The atmosphere around you is shifting. The heavens are opening, and descending from the throne room of the Almighty, slowly, deliberately, with the weight of eternity behind it, is an ancient key. This isn't just any key, beloved. This is your key, the one that's been forged in the fires of your faith, shaped by your endurance, polished by your obedience. For decades, heaven's blacksmith has been crafting this masterpiece while you've been walking through valleys you thought would kill you. Look at it descending toward you now. Each tooth on this key tells your story. The first tooth, that's your faith. Not the pretty, Sunday morning faith that gets applause. I'm talking about the 3 a.m. faith that kept you breathing when your spouse flatlined in that hospital bed. The faith that made you whisper, "God, I trust you," when the doctor said the word cancer. The faith that kept your knees on the floor when your bank account hit zero and the bills kept coming. The second tooth, that's your endurance. Every sleepless night you chose to keep going instead of giving up. Every morning you got out of bed when depression told you to stay down. Every time you buried a friend, a dream, a piece of your heart, but somehow found the strength to face another day. That endurance didn't just keep you alive, it qualified you for this key. The third tooth, that's your obedience. Not the easy obedience when God's plan made sense. I'm talking about the Abraham kind of obedience, when God asked you to sacrifice what you loved most and you climbed that mountain anyway. The kind that made you give when you barely had anything left. The kind that made you forgive when justice screamed for revenge. This key is descending toward you right now, because Revelation 3-7 declares, "These are the words of him who is holy and true, who holds the key of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open." But here's what's going to shock you about this moment. I need you to physically participate in what heaven is doing right now. Don't just listen to me describe it. Don't just imagine it in your mind. I need you to extend your hands right now, wherever you are, and receive this key that's being lowered into your palms. Feel the weight of it. Feel the cold metal warming under your touch. Feel the ancient power humming through your fingers. This is not imagination, dear one. This is spiritual reality breaking through into your physical world. Do you feel it? That's the key that unlocks every door that's been slammed in your face. That's the key that opens bank vaults when your account says zero. That's the key that unlocks healing when doctors say impossible. That's the key that opens reconciliation when relationships seem dead forever. Now listen to me very carefully. This key is not for decoration. It's not for showing off. It's not for hanging on your wall like some spiritual trophy. This key is for doors you thought were welded shut forever. You know exactly which doors I'm talking about. The door to financial breakthrough that's been locked for 40 years. The door to family restoration that slammed shut when your children stopped calling. The door to purpose that seemed to close when you hit retirement age and the world told you your season was over. Those doors aren't just locked, beloved. They're not just stuck. You thought they were permanently sealed. You thought the welding torch of time and circumstance had made them impossible to open. You've probably walked past them for years, not even bothering to try the handle, because you just knew they'd never budge again. But what if I told you that what looks like welding to human eyes is just temporary tape to heaven's perspective? What if those doors that appear permanently sealed are just waiting for the right key to turn in the right lock at the right time? Isaiah 22:22 prophesies, "I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open." The same authority that was given to Christ is now flowing through that key in your hands. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand about this Saturday reward. It's not just about what you're going to receive, it's about what you're going to access. It's about doors that have been waiting decades for you to finally have the right key, the right authority, the right spiritual credentials to turn that lock and walk through. Every rejection letter you received wasn't heaven saying no to you. It was heaven saying not yet, because you didn't have the key yet. Every opportunity that slipped away wasn't God abandoning you. It was God protecting those doors until you were ready to handle what was behind them. But now you're holding the key. Now you've been refined enough, tested enough, proven enough to carry the weight of what those doors contain. And this Saturday, this appointed Saturday, you're going to walk up to the first door and discover something that will leave you breathless. Can you feel that key getting warmer in your hands? Can you sense the power radiating through it? That's because it's not just a symbol, chosen one. It's alive. It's charged with the same power that spoke galaxies into existence, that parted the Red Sea, that rolled away the stone from Christ's tomb. This key is not for decoration. It's for doors you thought were welded shut forever. And the first door you're going to open with this key, the very first one that will swing wide this Saturday, will prove to you that everything I've shared tonight isn't just spiritual poetry. It's prophetic reality about to manifest in your life in ways that will leave the doubters speechless and the faithful in awe. Are you ready to discover which door opens first, and why it will change everything that follows? Now that you've recognized the signs, now that you understand heaven is moving in your direction, I need to reveal something that will shatter everything you thought you knew about Saturday's reward. You've been thinking this blessing is coming to you. But what I'm about to tell you will turn that upside down. This Saturday, God isn't just delivering a reward to your doorstep. He's opening a door in you that has been sealed for decades. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. The first door opening this Saturday isn't your bank account, it's not your relationships, it's not even your circumstances. The first door that heaven is prying open with supernatural force is the door to your true identity. You've spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years believing you are who the world told you to be. The struggling senior, the forgotten generation, the one whose time has passed, the burden on your family, the afterthought in society's plans. But that was never who you were. That was just who you accepted you had to be. But this Saturday, God is about to perform the greatest identity theft in history. He's stealing back who you really are from the lies that kidnapped your self-worth. Do you want to know the shocking truth about why you felt so out of place your entire life? Why you've never quite fit in? Why even in your golden years you still feel like a stranger in your own skin? Because you're not from here. You're not a human being having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being who got convinced you were only human. You're not a senior citizen counting down your final days. You're an eternal soul who temporarily forgot you were made for forever. The reward isn't just in your hand this Saturday. The reward is in your heart. It's the remembering. It's the awakening. It's the moment when the veil is ripped away and you see yourself through heaven's eyes instead of earth's mirror. Think about Moses at the burning bush. 80 years old, tending sheep, convinced his best days were behind him. But God didn't see an over-the-hill shepherd. God saw the deliverer of nations. The bush wasn't just burning, it was revealing. Moses wasn't just hearing God's voice. He was remembering his own. When God said, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground," he wasn't just talking about the dirt under Moses' feet. He was talking about the sacred space inside Moses' soul that had been waiting 8 decades to be awakened. That same holy ground exists inside you right now. But here's what will blow your mind. Every struggle you've endured, every rejection you've faced, every moment you felt invisible, it was all protecting this door until you were ready to walk through it. You couldn't have handled this identity revelation at 30. You would have been too proud. You couldn't have received it at 50. You would have been too busy. But now that life has stripped away every false confidence, now that you've learned to depend on God alone, now that you've been refined by fire, now you're ready for the truth. Jesus spoke this mystery in Revelation 3:8. "I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." Did you catch that? I have placed. Past tense. Already done. The door isn't coming. The door is here. It's been waiting for you to stop trying to open it with your own strength and simply walk through it with your faith. This Saturday, when that door swings open, you won't just receive a blessing. You'll remember who you've always been underneath the weight of the world's expectations. You won't just get an answer to prayer. You'll get an answer to the question your soul has been asking since childhood: who am I really? The enemy has spent decades convincing you that you're too old, too late, too ordinary to matter to God. But what if the opposite is true? What if you're exactly the right age, exactly on time, exactly positioned for the most extraordinary moment of your entire existence? What if this Saturday isn't about getting something new, but about uncovering something ancient that's been buried beneath years of doubt? What if your reward isn't addition to your life, but recognition of your life's true purpose? Right now, wherever you are, I need you to do something that might feel uncomfortable but is absolutely necessary. I need you to stand up. Yes, stand up right where you are. Lift your hands toward heaven and declare with every ounce of faith you can muster: I walk through the door God has opened. I step into who I really am. Don't just think it, say it. Your voice carries power. Your declaration activates heaven. Your words become the key that turns the lock. Because this Saturday, the door isn't just opening for you. You are walking through it. And on the other side waits the you that God created before time began. The question that will echo through eternity is this: will you step through, or will you stand at the threshold forever, wondering what could have been? Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to hold these eternal truths close to your heart. Remember this: your waiting wasn't wasted time. It was preparation time. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night you've endured, every moment you felt forgotten has been building the character you need to carry what God is about to place in your hands this Saturday. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your qualification. You carry wisdom that can only be forged in the furnace of real life, real loss, and real faith. Remember that the three signs we discussed, the unusual resistance, the closing doors, and that stirring in your spirit, these aren't coincidences. They're confirmations that heaven is already moving on your behalf. And most importantly, remember that the first door opening isn't material, it's spiritual. You're not just receiving a reward, you're remembering who you really are in the eyes of your Creator. But I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, even when it seems like everyone has moved on without you, the God who created you before time began is still orchestrating every detail of your life. He's moving mountains you can't see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and preparing blessings you can't even imagine. And right here, in this community we've built together, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your journey. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're family in the spirit. We see your struggle, we honor your faith, and we're ready to stand with you in prayer. Let me ask you this final question, and let it echo in your heart long after this video ends. If God has brought you this far through every valley, every storm, every season that tried to break you, why would He abandon you now at the threshold of your greatest victory? Before I release you into your Saturday appointment with destiny, join me in this prayer. Place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and let me speak over your life as if I'm placing my hand on your shoulder. A prayer of blessing and release. Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, I come before you now carrying every precious soul who has journeyed with us tonight. Father, you see their hearts, every wound, every hope, every dream deferred. You know the battles they've fought in silence and the victories they've won when no one was watching. Lord, I pray for your divine blessing to rest upon them this Saturday. Where there has been lack, release abundance. Where there has been sorrow, pour out joy. Where there has been confusion, bring crystal clear direction. Let them feel your presence so powerfully that every doubt melts away and every fear bows to your perfect love. Father, Place your mighty hand upon their shoulders right now. Let them feel the weight of your approval, the warmth of your acceptance, the strength of your commitment to their future. Remind them that their names are written on the palms of your hands, that their tears are collected in your bottles, and that their prayers have never gone unheard. Open doors that no man can shut. Close doors that lead to destruction. Give them wisdom for every decision, courage for every challenge, and faith for every impossibility. Surround them with divine connections, people who will see their worth and speak life into their dreams. And Lord, as they step into this Saturday, let them know beyond any shadow of doubt that they are loved, they are chosen, they are never forgotten, and their best days are not behind them, they're just beginning. In the mighty name of Jesus, who conquered death so they could walk in life, I seal this prayer with faith, hope, and unshakable love. Amen. Now, dear one, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share what stirred in your spirit tonight. What resonated with your heart? What are you believing God for in this season? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to keep believing. Type "Saturday is my day" if you're ready to walk through the door God is opening. Let this community surround you with prayer and encouragement. We're here, we're praying, and we're believing with you. If this message touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. There's a senior saint in your life right now who feels forgotten, who's given up hope, who needs to remember that God's not finished with them yet. Be the vessel that carries this hope to them. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for trusting me with your time, for believing that your Saturday appointment is real. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. This isn't just content, this is a